Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me in another video. So as you can tell based on the title, today we are talking about the Row Spring 2024 collection. I thought we'd take a look at some of the core quintessential pieces from this collection that are just very much the Row. But then I also thought we would talk about something I've been seeing in articles recently, and this idea of Normcore. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about that here. Finally, we'd look at some of like the weird, odd, unusual pieces in this collection. And I first thought we'd talk about sort of the key signature pieces we're seeing spring 2024 that I also think are very definitive of the Row. I did a whole video talking about what is the Row. I've done a few videos looking at different collections from this brand, so I really don't want to reiterate a lot of the same things I've stated in those videos. I thought we'd kind of look at some of the core key pieces that make the Row the Row. So the first category of clothing that is the Row, if you really want an investment piece, I'm talking about their tailored coats here. We have some very classic coats. We have some coats with a little bit more volume here, but if you're looking for that very tailored, minimal aesthetic, the Row is going to be the brand for you. And then this coat, the Halima coat, I love when the Row does these very like sumptuous, statement, bold coats. Obviously, this is a spring collection, so we're not going to see as many coats as we did last season, but the Row's always going to have an offering of coats. And then they also had some very interesting coats. This is the Dennett. Not sure what's quite happening here with these armholes. I'm not sure if that's a styling choice. Then there's also the Nat coat with these sleeves tucked into the pockets. And then the next category of quintessential items from the Row is the relaxed blazer. This collection is so unisex. You're gonna see a lot of looks in this collection where it's the same look on both men and women. We have them in black, we have them in taupe, we have them in white, almost like a buttery kind of color. Definitely a variety of different blazer choices. And then of course with these blazers, we're gonna have an assortment of pleated, tailored pants. A lot of these are total looks you can get if you wanted to get just the pants. If you wanted to get the blazer, it's definitely a coordinated look you could go for. A lot of these pants, they pool over the shoes. That's just something we've been seeing for the past few seasons. The next category I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to mention it because I think this is what started the brand, and we're going to talk about t-shirts here. Some of these looks, I really can't tell based on how the cut of these t-shirts are. We're seeing a lot of these like pastel and gray colors. Next category we have here is knitwear. The Row will always have knitwear no matter if it's summer. We're seeing turtlenecks, we're seeing taupe, classic knitwear pieces. The next category I want to talk about are button-up shirts. So this look here was actually the first look of the collection. We're seeing also pastel variations, also in just very classic colors. The next category I want to talk about is a type of item, more so than like collared shirts, blazers, or coats. I'm just gonna call this like an abstract or like asymmetric dress. I'm sure there's like a better way of describing this. Every season they'll have these dress designs. Sometimes they'll have deconstructed elements, very experimental, almost Yohji Yamamoto-esque. And like the Olsen twins are very much inspired by Yohji's work. I always appreciate when they do this. I actually wish they did dresses more. There's always going to be an offering of suits, but I really appreciate when they do dresses. They're kind of weird and they're not for everyone, and I think that's probably why they don't make so many of them. And I also just want to give a shout out to the maxi dress slash maxi skirt here. And I think this is just their own personal preference when it comes to their styling. Another category I want to talk about, I feel they've been bringing a lot of loafers in recently. These are the park loafers. They look like they lace up and have tassels on them. I could be wrong, but we're seeing them here in this dark green. They have these men's loafers as well. To me, the style of shoe just works so well with this aesthetic. And then item number 9 that we're going to talk about here is the Margot bag. Again, we're seeing them bring this bag back season after season for a good reason. I think it makes a very good functional work bag. But another bag that we're also seeing on the runway is the Sophia bag. We've seen this design come back again, and Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, they wear these bags. I always love looking at Olsen Oracle and actually seeing how they wear these bags out in public and seeing how they style these bags. Those are, I feel, the core quintessential pieces that we're seeing this collection, that we've seen previous collections, that are definitely items to consider. But now let's talk about some of the other looks. We'll talk about how this collection has slightly deviated from collections we've seen in the past, and several critics noticed this change in this collection here. Vogue pointed out what they described as like this casual confidence and like laid back layering. Hypebeast described them taking a calmer stance with this collection. I kind of want to make this point about Mary-Kate and Ashley's personal style here. While I think Mary-Kate and Ashley, they're kind of like grouped together, like the Olsen twins, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Their style is very similar to each other, but they do also have their own unique styles, their own personalities. And it was actually fashion that was really this tool for the both of them to make this distinction between each other. If you look at how they were styled in the early mid 2000s to to the later 2000s, how they like evolved with their sense of style. Ashley back in the day, she had more of this refined, almost like romantic look to her, but Mary-Kate, she had kind of this like grungy boho vibe to her. And Mary-Kate and Ashley, they have always used fashion as a tool to express themselves, and of course their style has evolved since then, but there's something that feels very instinctual about how they dress and how they feel and how they want to distinguish themselves or how they want to be a unified force together. But I think a lot of the looks that we're seeing here is sort of this everyday interpretation of how Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen dress in the most normal of settings. To me, these looks are very much them on like smoke break vibes. If you follow Olsen Oracle, you know what I'm talking about. Which leads me to my next point, which I kind of want to talk about this idea of normcore. I think the way that normcore is being talked about today, at least the way I'm reading it in articles, is actually very different from how it was initially described as something in like the 2010s, early 2010s, that kind of time period. It's not necessarily the same meaning. It started out as meaning something and then it turned into like a style and aesthetic. The term normcore back in the day meant dressing normal. You were dressing in a way you did not intend to stand out, and you were dressing for the occasion or for the event that you were going to. The intention was not to stand out. The intention was not to make a statement. If you're going to like a baseball game or something, you're probably going to wear like a baseball cap or a t-shirt or something that represents the team that you're rooting for, and you're probably going to wear like comfortable clothes. You're going to blend in with the crowd. And I'm sure there are people that go to baseball games with the intention to be the biggest fan, and you're probably going to stand out. But I think for the most part, that's the best example I can give that conveys this idea of what normcore was supposed to mean. You weren't intending to stand out, but I think what happened with this approach to dressing, this normal dressing, it became very synonymous with casual dressing. So it became sort of this casual form of dressing. Again, the Vogue article talks about this casual confidence that the Row expresses in this collection. When you think about a brand like The Gap or even a show like Seinfeld, there's something just so normcore about how those characters dress. They don't stand out. There's nothing over the top. There's something so ordinary about how they're dressed. I'm going to reference this Elle article here, Welcome to the Age of Nouveau Normcore. This article cites the works from Miu Miu, Bottega Veneta, even Peter Doe's collection, Alaya, Valentino's oversized shirts. It's making reference to how normcore, instead of just being this idea of dressing in a way so that you don't stand out, to becoming a style. And they state this. It all goes back to the early 2010s when normcore was born. Part of the reason for its sudden return is that we're in a neo-yuppie moment, says Sean Monahan, founder of trend forecasting group 8 Ball and co-founder of the now defunct collective and trend forecasting group K-Hole, which brought the term normcore to the masses in 2013. The new, more upscale normcore wave isn't exactly what it was 10 years ago. The blandness has transmuted into something slightly more complex, and underlying it is also a hint of prep. Think less Jerry Seinfeld and more Carolyn Bessette Kennedy or Princess Diana. We're moving on from the 90s but continuing with this minimalist trend. This time it's less austere, says Valerie Steele, director and chief curator of the Museum of Fashion Institute of Technology. One might wonder if a possibly impending recession is cause for the shift, but Steele doesn't think so. Usually economic factors are not really that important unless they're devastating, like a major economic depression, she says. It's much more likely that this has to do with a wider shift from maximalism to minimalism, adds Monahan. Once you leave the confines of certain downtown neighborhoods, it's hard to tell if people are going to the office or the gym or to meet friends. It's just a total collapse into casualness. It's almost like we're really thinking through our casual fashion, more so than ever. Before it was maybe we had a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and track pants, athleisure or whatever, but I think people are being a little bit more considerate about what their casual clothes are. Think about how Hailey Bieber, she has this very like heavily stylist infused aesthetic. Every single look Hailey Bieber has, it's very stylist approved, let's just say that, but you can tell she's taking cues from off-duty Princess Diana. And I think when we look at her to even figures like Sophia Richie, there's just this really intense, deep consideration with how one dresses in very casual settings. It's a very basic idea. And if we take it back to like Mary-Kate and Ashley, what's happening is we're seeing this injection of styling, this casual styling here. It's a personal reflection of Mary-Kate and Ashley's off-duty or even on-duty. I don't know. Who knows? Like, is this off-duty, on-duty looks? We don't really know anymore. Like, the lines are blurred. I thought we'd take a look at some of these very casual looks here, very normcore feeling looks, but yeah, just very casual, very dadcore some of these looks. The very first look of the collection here, back to this collared shirt, this blue shirt and khaki pants with these sunglasses that almost look like they could be Oakleys. They're giving me very dad in the 2000s vibe. Then the second look here with like the pink shirt, it's comfortable shirt, light wash jeans, slippers, and then we have this pink shirt in the male version, and again, like very unisex fashion. This next look here, we've got very layered casual basics, ripped jeans, incredibly ordinary looking. This look I thought was very interesting. It's very Matrix, this leather trench, these sunglasses, these like Boston Birkenstocks. And then if we look at this look here, casual sports vibe. It's very outdoorsy. Even just these colors, this kind of turquoise, pastel pink, these colors just kind of give me early 90s, like nostalgic like color combination here. Makes me think there should be a matching nylon bum bag in like turquoise or something. And this look here, we've got slouchy knitwear. This 100% is a look Mary-Kate Olsen would wear. This look here, it's like dad going to Best Buy. I don't know what else to say. This next look here, just so casual. It's very Larry David, the men's and women versions. It's indistinguishable. And then look number 10, we have the sporty windbreaker, these Birkenstocks, and then just kind of this theme of unisex, very ordinary, casual fashion, but it really lacks any kind of glamour. And so finally, let's take a look at some of their more unexpected pieces that don't really fall into the categories we're seeing of casual or quintessential staple pieces. But I still think a lot of these pieces look very much the row in a weird way, if that makes sense. Here we have this beautiful embroidered dress, just beautiful looking, but then it's layered on top of a t-shirt. And then we have these custom jewelry pieces. This is a very interesting collaboration that they're doing. They're very asymmetric. They look very like sculptural, artistic touch with a lot of these pieces. Another theme that we're seeing in this collection is this use of very bold red. It's a very intense red. It's almost like this vermilion red. This is the kind of red that Mary-Kate Olsen wears quite a bit actually. We saw this their last collection as well. What we're also seeing here is this interesting use of styling with wrapping the blazer around these midi skirts and maxi skirts here. I thought these floppy hats were so interesting. And then this final look here. To me, the shirt is very like dad going to Best Buy. It's very like dadcore, but then like with the blue leather gloves, it's kind of like throwing me off here. There's something about this that feels very Bella Hadid. And I was like looking at this aesthetic, and maybe you've heard about it, guys. I'm like an elderly millennial, so trying to talk about trends on TikTok, it's kind of cringe, so you know, bear with me. But there's this trend called blokecore. It's kind of giving me a little bit of that. If Mary-Kate Olsen were to put her spin on it, that's what this look is. It's this blokecore aesthetic. I've seen people like Bella Hadid apply, but then like Bella Hadid, she'll wear like, you know, really cute skirt or something, or like have her hair look really cute. To me, this is like an Olsen twin interpretation of this look. So that's the collection, guys. If you love that core row aesthetic, there is definitely that. There's a lot of that here, but then there's also this just embrace of this sort of normal dadcore, blokecore, normcore, casual aesthetic that we're seeing. And I think there is just this overall interest as time goes by, just in general, with fashion in general. There's always going to be this interest in clothing that is more casual. And I think this collection is very much a response to what a lot of customers are interested in wearing. Whether they're aware of it or not, there's always going to be a need for casual clothing. A lot of these aesthetic choices have been on the rise, be it the blokecore look that we're seeing, the dadcore, and just going further back to the normcore of the 2010s. And I think this casual aesthetic actually works perfectly with what I think the row has been doing for a very long time with these very beautifully tailored pieces. I'm curious to see if they're going to continue on this trajectory or if it was just something they were feeling momentarily. I think the second coming of normcore is quite interesting. And I think who better than the row to explore this trend. Anyways, that's my video. I would love to know, what are your thoughts on this recent collection? collection. I'm glad they're still giving us the core pieces that I think the Row is known for. I would love to know, was there anything about this collection that really stood out to you? Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.